a recent competitive coding competition. Specifically, it was called, got the name here, I lost the name, the AWTF, the At Coders World Tour Finals, was held yesterday, and a human won, but barely, just about. So the top coder in this particular competition was a guy called Pysho, not Psycho, but Pysho. He's a Polish dude, got his profile here, and he managed to beat ChatGPT just about. But I think the interesting thing here is, one, that humans can still beat artificial intelligence in AI. But two, this probably is going to be one of the last few times. We saw this again and again with things like chess and then Go. So initially it was thought a computer would not be able to beat a human being in chess. And then we had the Kasparov Deep Blue competition, and the computer eventually beat the world's best chess player and now can consistently do that. And then in 2016, we had the same thing again with Lee Sedol being beaten by AlphaGo in the game of Go. And even in these high-end competitions, it was at the edge of what was possible. These were competitions that were held to see whether a computer could beat a human. And in both of these competitions with Kasparov and with Lee Sedol, the AI did not win every single match. So Lee Sedol did beat AlphaGo in at least one of the matches. There's a really good documentary film called AlphaGo, which is free on YouTube and made by Google. So it's worth watching about that. So I think we're seeing the same thing here with competitive coding, where it's basically the last human beings standing up against the artificial intelligence models in competitive coding and still winning for now. But even Pysho, this guy who's just 20 hours ago, he's admitting, yeah, I'm exhausted. And an AI doesn't get tired. It will just keep going. So he says, humanity has prevailed for now. I'm completely exhausted. I figured I had 10 hours of sleep in the last 3 days and I'm barely alive. I'll post more about the contest when I get some rest. So he did win, but at what cost? And the top comment here is somebody referencing John Henry. So John Henry, for those of you who aren't sure who that is, it's a blues song based on probably a real person, but we don't know the details, about a guy who used to ride railway spikes. So he used a giant hammer to drive it's a big metal spike into the ground to hold down railways. And it used to be done by hand by swinging huge sledgehammers. Very inefficient, very hard work, backbreaking, literally backbreak work. And then along came the steam engine pile driver, which would drive along traffic and slam these rails down into the ground. But John Henry is a steel driver who he didn't want to lose to the machine. So he had a final race against the machine. And there's a poem, there's a song about it. In that song, the machines are not as good. It cannot drive these stakes as far down as John Henry can, but it still beats him in the competition because it can keep going. So he gets measured in a race against a steam-powered rock drill, a race that he won only to die in victory with a hammer in his hand when his heart gives out from stress. I think we're seeing a bit of a John Henry story here with Pysho, a guy who is standing up against artificial intelligence, still winning, but at what cost? So he is our modern day John Henry. He's going to die with a hammer in his hand, probably very shortly. The AI tools will be better than our human coders.